Hello. Uh, that the eclipse season is over for the time being until we hit October again when we have another eclipse on October 25th. And in the meantime, I thought I might as well talk about the coordinates of our existence. Where do we exist in this universe? We, as an individual entity, where do we exist in the universe? An illustration that I've made, it might look crammed up, but that I did want to cram it up in on one page so that I don't lose the tempo. So this here is an illustration which may start with something mythological, but then it turns out to be more scientific. Okay, so science starting with mythological stuff, uh, but maybe time shall tell that this is not mythological and purely scientific because that is exactly how things have happened until now. Uh, all those things we thought were figments of imagination, they really turned out to be true. So, yeah. So let's start with these elevation floors. Um so this is Brahmand, an egg of existence, where the topmost floor is occupied by the supreme being or God, and then we have, according to the vibrations, higher beings than us, and this is the seventh floor, the bhu-lok, or where our earth is in the solar system, in the Milky Way galaxy, and many many galaxies that we don't know the count of. And then below our floor or band are another seven floors where there are beings of even lesser vibrations exist. Now this is the point where the mythology ends. So as I was saying, our there's this band is full of galaxies that we can never find the number of. This is, for example, our very own Milky Way or Akashganga galaxy, and in this galaxy is our solar system, and in this solar system is our planet. On this planet is our country. In our country, at some point, are us. Yeah, here we go. So, so this is our familiar solar system. This is our sun. This is the closest planet. That's Mercury. Then we've got Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Nep- Neptune. We had Pluto, but then it is eccentric. It's got an eccentric orbit. It wasn't very sure whether it wanted to be a part of solar system, so we said bye bye to it a few years back. But when I was little, we always studied that there were nine planets. When we consider astrological charts, we still consider Pluto as a very important entity that affects us. But for now, for the time being, this is what it is. So let me throw in some bits of astrology into the whole thing. So when we are talking about our very own life, our very personal life, usually the inner planets affect us. It's like colossal, so it's elevated here, and as we go towards the inner planet, it is lesser in elevation, and then we've got our sun, the star around which the planets move. Since the inner planets take lesser time in completing its cycle of revolution, it affects our lives, while the outer planets, they take as long as 165 years, 84 years. So they just not affect us, but also our family, our parents, and sometimes our grandparents. So two, three generations are covered into it. Let's take example of Neptune that completes its cycle in roughly about 165 years. So imagine the number of generations that would be included. So by the time it finishes off its cycle, It's already a few generations have passed. Now, after further away beyond those planets are constellations. These constellations are clusters of stars that make a certain shape, and those shapes decide the uh, qualities or characteristics of the native or a person who's into born at a time where moon was facing that nakshatra or constellation, was moon was tenanting that nakshatra or constellation. Now since they look like a certain thing, certain entity, living entity, or otherwise not even animate or inanimate entity, the characteristic that the native would have would also be like that. Because and it's not like a fantastical stuff. Something that looks like a lion would be a lion, something that looks like a centaur or a horse would be a horse. Why otherwise would it look like a horse? Something that looks like a twin would be a twin. And that's how you would your own characteristic personalities characteristics would be decided. So not just the planets move, inner planets, outer planets also move, and even constellations move. Constellations move as slow as 72 years they take in covering 1 degree of a constellation. Did I say that constellations are a part of our galaxy, that's Milky Way or Akashganga? Because if they were further away, we would not even be able to see them, or not see them clearly enough like our ancestors did. They were not YouTubing, so they could see more clearly, but even we can see them, and we can see them even more clearly if on a clear night. Uh, but had they been in apart in another galaxy, we would have required telescope to see them. So they're part of Milky Way. And since I told you that they cover, I didn't tell you because I dreamt of it. I found out that so they cover 1 degree in 72 years. So, so about 72 into 30, because one nakshatra means 30 years. Hmm? No, 30 degrees. And each constellation, each zodiac sign covers about 2.5 nakshatra constellations. So uh, it all comes out to be 2200 years, for which for one zodiac to last. So we are now just recently, as it is said, it is believed, entered into the age of Aquarius from the age of Pisces. Now this will last for 2200 years. So many generations would pass into that, and they will all work towards a certain point in humanity, which hopefully will have a higher vibration than the earlier ones, or so I would like to believe. So this is how it functions. Three bands: inner planets, outer planets, constellations. Actually, constellations are many more than just 27. What we consider 27 are the number of constellations that we consider in sidereal or Vedic astrology. But there are many constellations, but these constellation 27 are closest to us, so they are still affected by our star. So that's why it's moving 1 degree in 72 years. So, and that's why something they are something that's affecting us. So yeah, now let's zoom in to the positioning of Earth, where we stay, where you stay, where I stay, where many stay. All right, so this whole thing started with the talks of eclipse and what they bring astrologically, or what, or whatever it is believed they bring astrologically. Now let's just say this is our elliptical orbit around sun, when I say elliptical, it means it's not uniform. Is it even visible? Now it's visible. Yep. So in December, the distance between Sun and Earth is shortest, but we feel cold because we are looking away from Sun. And why we are more looking away from Sun? Because Earth is tilted at the at 23.5 degrees. So we are not looking straight, we are looking 23 and a half degree away, and with the which is why we feel cold. And in even though we are our distance between Earth and Sun is less least minimum, um, then the longest distance is around June and July. July we are thankfully saved by monsoons, at least in India. So this is the longest distance. We are furthest away in a year, but we still feel very warm because we are our planet is looking towards Earth. Now we have our satellite in form of moon, which uh, which also has a tilted orbit around Earth, and its tilt is 5 degrees. So it's not moving exactly like uh, it's not it's not circular around Earth, but even that's elliptical, or and that elliptical degree is 5 degrees. So the point at which it intersects Earth's elliptical orbit is the point of node, naturally, right? Because whenever two paths intersect, that's where the nodes are. And those nodes are Rahu and Ketu, or the north or the south node, and um, that's where eclipses take place. So in the entire orbit, this is usually the time June, July, or May and June, July, and November and December, January. That's when the position of moon is such that it comes exactly in between Earth and Sun, causing eclipses when it comes to new moon. And around the same time, in 15 days time, we get lunar eclipses as well. Okay, so this is what it is. But now what I'm trying to tell you in astrological sense is that when we are this is December, when this distance between Sun and Earth is least. We are the constellation that we see when we are in December, right opposite us is of Sagittarius, while behind us as in what's behind Earth is Gemini. They're opposites. They are 180 degrees away from each other. Okay, so in December, behind Earth is the Gemini's constellation, and in and opposite is Sagittarius. That's why, since Earth is able to see Sagittarius, the gateway to Sagittarius is open. So all the energy that would actually enter the gate of Earth would be the Sagittarius energy. And in June, what we are able to see is the twin constellation, the Gemini constellation. Now, what happens for all those who follow astrology? You may be knowing already that uh, Sagittarius constellation, or any constellation that begins at 1 degree, ends at 30 degrees, on almost the fag end, on the 29th degree of Sagittarius constellation, we have a black hole, which is our galactic black hole, galactic center. Um, that is Milky Way's trash can. No, no, it doesn't sound very good. Milky Way's vacuum cleaner is on the 29th degree of the Sagittarius constellation. And it's theoretically, it is believed that whenever you have input, you also have output, or output, you also have input. When there is a beginning, there is an end. So if you have a black hole, you also have a white hole, which would obviously which would obviously be in the opposite direction. That's Gemini. But since in Gemini season, what's behind us is what's behind Earth is the Sagittarius. So so basically, things end in June eclipses or summer eclipses, and things begin in winter eclipses. This is my interpretation, this is my observation. I'll come again. Things end in summer eclipses, things begin in winter eclipses. Just see where is your Sagittarius house, and that particular portion would be experiencing some transformation in mm, in around June, and in actually basically in whichever house you are experiencing an eclipse. So just check out your own personal chart to see which particular aspect of your life is ending in June, because that's where that is the time when Earth is actually, what's behind Earth is an end, is a galactic end, a galactic center, or the black hole. And what's beginning in winter would be found if you see your own chart. So if I were to summarize, I would say that you're affected most by your inner planets, your family and few generations of your family by all by also the outer planets, and the whole a big chunk of generations by movement of constellations. And then when you talk about eclipses, things end in June eclipses, things begin in winter eclipses, and this is completely my own interpretation. Just look out for more information. This is what basically what I have observed. All right, I hope things got slightly easier than before. Otherwise, acquiring bits of knowledge is an ongoing journey, right? Bye.